The following video tells a story like so many others. Stories like this are common in Mexico, since most people know someone who has been in, tried to go to, or has family or friends in the United States. I'm not trying to encourage sympathy or disdain toward illegal immigrants. How you feel about it is up to you. I'm simply showing you the stories as they are. My story begins in September 2022. I left Guerrero for Ciudad Juarez. My sister accompanied me on the trip only as far as the border, where a family friend was going to pick me up. He took me to his house and I stayed there for 4 days until the guide sent me a message and came to pick me up. We agreed on the spot where they would come to get me. Two people came to pick me up, a woman and a man. We talked for a while and they gave me a general idea of what our journey would be like as we tried to cross, and it became clear that we were going to have to climb over the wall. They told me to be very careful because I could slip and a fall from that height could cost me my life. So we left. They took me to a house where we only stayed for a few hours. Another person came to pick me up and took me to the fence. There were 9 people there, 3 guides, and 6 who wanted to cross. So we started to cross. They set up a rope ladder, secured it tightly, and we began to climb. Just as we were climbing, one of the guides told us not to move because he had noticed an immigration patrol nearby. He and the other 2 guides started arguing. Some said we should keep going, while others said we shouldn't. And in the end, we had to turn back, since everyone agreed that the area was dangerous and that it wouldn't be possible to continue at that moment. We went back to the house, and the next day we tried again. When we got to the wall, we realized there was another group already crossing, so we had to wait. That group was caught by immigration, so one of the guides said we should turn back because it wasn't the right time yet. We went back, but this time they moved us to a different house, and we stayed there until the next day when we would try it again. So the next day came. Before heading back toward the wall, I prayed a lot and asked God to help me succeed. I prayed that I would make it across safely, since one of my goals after crossing was to see my father again. I hadn't seen him in 10 years. So the journey began. Our group consisted of 2 Hondurans, one person from Michoacan, the guides, and me. That was the night we managed to cross. The guy cut through the barbed wire fence. They set up the ladders and they told me I wouldn't be the last one. Everyone else crossed. When it was my turn, I climbed the ladder, crossed over, but as I was coming down, I slipped and fell. Maybe it was the adrenaline and the nerves of the moment, but I didn't feel the pain. I just got up, and when I did, I realized there was no one around. Everyone was already running, so I started running too. For a moment, I lost I lost sight of them. I couldn't see them. I reached a road and crossed it. I made my way through the houses until I reached a park where I hid. While I was there, I managed to get in touch with one of the guides. I sent him my location and they came to pick me up. They took me to a house where there were other people. I stayed there for a day while they waited for the go ahead to move me to another location. Um, they took the people who were in the house away, and I was left alone. Later, they moved me to another house, and I stayed there for another day. There, there were people in that other house, and more people arrived that night. The next day, they drove me to my destination in two cars. One of them drove ahead to warn us in case there were any problems at a checkpoint. We made it all the way to my destination without any problems. I was finally reunited with my dad. Everything went well. My father gave me a warm welcome. At that moment, he paid for my ride in cash without any issues, and I thank the person who drove me to my destination because thanks to him, I was able to arrive safely. But after that, my hell would begin because my dad, despite all the good attributes he might have, is an alcoholic. Once I started living with them, he began treating me badly. Many times he yelled at me and told me to get out of his house. When he was drunk, he would express his doubts about whether I was really his son and that I was only his son because my mother told him so. In short, it was one insult after another until one day he threw all my belongings out onto the street. With all my things scattered across the street, he yelled at me and once again told me to leave. By then, I already had an idea of how things worked around here, so I contacted a friend who lived in Tennessee. He told me I could stay with him, and for a while I had a good time there. I had a good job, and everything was peaceful. After a while, my dad got in touch with me. He told me he'd change and asked for my forgiveness. He asked me to give him another chance, and so I did. I went back to him, but the story remained the same, even worse. One day, he packed my bags himself and threw them onto a bus heading back to Mexico. I was 16 years old at the time. So, on my way back to Mexico, I arrived in the state of Chihuahua. By then, I had run out of money and I still had a long way to go to get to Guerrero, my home state. I made the mistake of calling my dad to tell him I had no money and to ask him for and to ask him to please help me out with something just so I could get home. His response was that he wouldn't give me crap, that I was an ungrateful son of you know, and he told me to figure it out on my own. Anyway, it's been 2 years since I returned to Mexico, and now I'm 18. During this time, I can say things haven't gone too badly for me. I can't complain, but since that moment, I haven't had any contact with my dad. I don't know what's been going on with him, and to be honest, I don't care anymore. I can't explain the shock of what happened to me. I mean, when for years they've told you they want to see you, that they miss you, that they want to be with you, and when the moment finally comes, all of that falls apart, and all the good things you were hoping for turn into a nightmare. Instead of treating you like a family, they treat you worse than an animal. And it's something that has has left a lasting mark on me. I don't cry anymore like I did the first time I heard such bitter words, but I feel numb. I really never expected that to happen to me, but it did. Because of this, I learned that strangers can often treat you better than your own family. So the American dream didn't come true to me, but I haven't lost hope of being able to return to the United States, to the place where I was happy for a while, Memphis, Tennessee.